Take 1 5. This is the seventh time I'm trying this video, guys. Like, seriously now. Anyway, hi, welcome back to my channel. Yo, guys, no, can we be realistic? Hi, bro. YouTube videos are stress, right? Like, taking just one video is like, phew. Anyway, a sequel apple. Anyway, guys, I hope God has been good in your lives. I hope He's been wonderful. I've been good. I've been awesome. I've been challenged. I've been rebuked. I've been restored. All of those things you can think about it. It's just, yeah. It's a journey basically. I'm on a journey currently, and it's changing a lot of things about me. Okay, so yeah. Before I get into today's message, guys, you guys, my boo family. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Like, thank you for the likes, thank you for the subscribers, thank you for especially those ones that send me private messages and tell me how much the videos are helping them, and why and how I should not stop, I should keep on posting. Guys, like, can you see what you're doing to me? You really, really warm in my heart. And honestly speaking, I think that's the whole point of this was the whole point of me starting the YouTube channel, was for me to reach to people one soul at a time. I don't have to reach hundred and millions of people, at one go. I just needed to at least one person that will realize to say, okay, I understand this is one thing that I've been struggling with too, and I'm glad that you've mentioned it, and now you've helped me with this and this and that. And guys, you don't understand. It's so beautiful. It made me have the energy to even come back here and say, "Hi, welcome back to my channel." Because I mean, it's beautiful when you get the feedback and the critics. Also, I love and appreciate it, guys. Love, 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 love. Please don't stop. Tell me if you feel like my sound is not good. You must tell me. If you feel like I need to fix something, I'm here for it. Okay, I'm here. I did say initially when I started this channel, to say this is a platform where everyone is free. We are engaging. I'm gonna be just sharing what I see and what I feel and what God has placed in my heart. You can add your things. You can take that and change it and make it your own thing. It's okay, at the end of the day, as long as somebody gets helped out of this, that's the whole point of this channel. Okay, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, guys, so today we are talking about accepting grace for your life. How difficult is that, though? Like, on the real, I think we need to be realistic in understanding that, in saying that it's not as easy as we say it. Like, oh no, you just need to accept grace, man. His grace is sufficient for all of us. Yes, his grace is sufficient for all of us, but the reality of the situation is, most of the time, most of us don't feel like we have his grace. Most of the time we feel like we are short of his grace, because or we are falling short of his grace because of the things that we've done or the things that we're going through. Sometimes when God puts you through a certain situation, and you start to forget all the things that he has said, and the only thing that you see right now, it's just that trial, or it's that the painful thing that comes through the trial, and we forget that there's still grace even when you're suffering, guys. There's still grace even when you're being challenged, because he said no weapon formed against you shall prosper. He never said there will be no weapons. He just said the weapons will be there, but they will not prosper. It's the same thing with the grace. We often don't feel it because of our own things that we're doing. We sin so much, we even feel like God doesn't even care anymore. God doesn't even love us. God that hasn't forgiven us. And so many of us, we sit in church on Sundays constantly. We sit there with our hearts heavy and our minds burdened, because we are forever focusing on, but I did this yesterday, but I did that, but God cannot bless me because I did this and that. And today I just want you to tell you that there's absolutely nothing that you or I can do that will shock God. Guys, we need to understand that when God said his grace is sufficient for all, he meant he wasn't trying to please you, or he wasn't trying to please me, or he wasn't trying to win us over. You know, like how a guy would just come and say, yeah, I'll buy you a train, or I'll buy you a private jet, and then next thing he doesn't do that. No, God was saying, my grace is sufficient. So that means that you can never fall short of grace. And once you understand that, you get to understand the type of father he is in our lives. Okay, don't want to be preaching. Let's have the talk, guys. Anyway, so I went on to check, what does grace mean? Okay, so theologically, the pastors, because the pastors will correct me, but this is what I found. So grace, meaning the spontaneous unmerited gift of the divine favor in salvation of sinners, and divine influence operating in individuals for their regeneration and sanctification. Guys, once I understood this, it made so much sense to say that is the reason why God gives us grace. Because why? He wants us to regenerate and be sanctified. He wants us to become new. He wants us to grow. He wants us to possess a new type of thinking, a new type of feeling, a new type of doing things. You cannot accept grace and still remain the same. So when you accept grace for your life, it challenges you to become better. And not only do you become better, you don't become just better for yourself, but you become better for the ones around you. You become better for your loved ones. The relationships that you get to form, the friendships that you get to form. At work, you become a totally different person. Your space, your aura becomes so healthy and full of grace, because, guys, grace cannot operate where there's chaos, where there is rivalry, where there's grudges, where there's jealousy. You cannot, because there's no way you can focus on the grace that God has placed in you while your heart is still heavy. There's no way you can focus on the grace that God has given you while you're still focusing on the lack, or the trials, or the poverty, or the challenges that you're facing. When grace comes into your life, it challenges you to be better. That's number one. So when it said that it causes regeneration and sanctification, that's it. It causes you to become a new person. It causes you to become a new individual. It causes you, I'm not saying that now you just, like, you come and now you've got a different voice and you've got a different work. No, guys. I'm talking about your soul. Now, the things that you used to think, the way that you used to do things, the way that you used to dress, it changes. Because why? There's grace all over you. There's grace that's shining. And when the grace comes, it shines from within, and then it comes into the within, it comes to your soul, but then it shines to the outside, and you get to realize that by accepting grace, understanding that God has grace for you and it's enough for you, you get to understand just how much God loves you. Because it then says, if God has given me grace, which is unmerited, I didn't do anything, and it's spontaneous, I don't have to do anything, what more? What more can God give me? If he's willing to give me umusa ongaka, guys, when we sing lo musa ongaka wanele bonke, that's what it means. His grace is sufficient for all. And that means that even when you don't feel like you have it, it's there. Even when you don't feel like God loves you, the grace is there. Nisho Mina, even when you are at your lowest and you are at a point where you don't want to go to church anymore, you don't want to pray, and people have hurt you, blah 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 blah, the grace is still sufficient for you, for me. Because the grace is for who? It's for sinners. And who are the sinners? It's us. It's us, guys. So God is saying today, here is my grace, and all I want from you is just to accept it. You don't have to do anything. You just need to say yes to the grace. And that's it. And when the grace comes into your life, when grace comes to you, automatically, because then you've accepted it, isn't it? When you accept something, when somebody gives you a gift, you accept it, then you'll start to use it. You'll start to see the goodness of it. You'll start to appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. The same thing is grace. When you accept God's grace for your life, things start to change. Certain things start to move away. Guys, I don't want to lie to you. There's so many things that I had prayed for, prayed about, or prayed over for years. For some of the things are things that have happened to me. Some of the things are things that, I did. Some of the things that I experienced, and some of the things that I felt God was being unfair to me, and all of those things. But the minute I understood what grace meant, what grace means, I got to understand that no, man. So God, when I was going through that and that, your grace was still sufficient for me. So God, when I decided to stop going to church because someone had said this and that, your grace was still sufficient for me. God, when I stopped worshiping you and I quit with the worship team because somebody had done this, your grace was still sufficient for me. God, when I gossiped about somebody yesterday, your grace was still sufficient for me. I'm here, guys, to tell you that God's grace is sufficient for all who want it. For you and for everybody else, you just need to accept it. Accept the fact that there is grace that is enough for you. It is sufficient to carry you through anything and everything. It is sufficient to place you in unmerited places. Musa kaNkulunkulu usanele sonke. I don't know how many times I need to say this. Surely, guys, if there is grace for me and for you, that means there's nothing that I can wake up and do that will shock God. There's absolutely nothing I can do on this planet that will make God not to love me or to love me any less. There's absolutely nothing, absolutely nothing on this planet that can make me not to have His grace, because His grace is spontaneous. It's unmerited. It's a gift that is unmerited. I don't have to work for it. I don't have to do anything. But there's favor that comes with being saved. So there's favor in salvation. And then when I have accepted that there's such a grace for me, when I have accepted that God has this grace for me, when I accept that God says, my grace is sufficient for you, I then do what? I regenerate. I'm sanctified. I then now become a new being, guys, and I'm willing to work at the things that I need to work on, because grace will expose you to parts of you that you've been ignoring, or to parts of you that you don't really want to deal with. It will expose you to the you that we don't know, that we'll never know, but only you and God know. And when grace comes, it molds everything that needs to be fixed. If it's your heart, grace comes and it fixes it. If it's your mind, grace comes and fixes the heart. If it's the way that you live your lifestyle, grace will come and say, guys, there's grace in loving God. There's grace in being a human being. The mere fact that God created you, you're alive and you're breathing and you're here and your lungs are working, there's grace. And that grace is enough for me and you. I'm here to tell you today that the only thing you need to do is just to say yes to it. Accept the grace. Allow God to work in you. Allow the grace that is sufficient for you to work within you, to change you, to change your surroundings, to change your thoughts, to change your mind. Guys, we need to get to a point where once we understand the grace, and once we are regenerating and we understand what is being sanctified, and now we sanctify, we start to become Christ-like. We truly possess God's mind and God's heart, you to become who He wants you to be. Often not an easy process. It's a difficult journey. Trust me, I know. but it's worth it. So I hope and pray that this video not only helped me, so I hope it helps you and it helps everybody else that you want to share it to. And I pray that by you listening to this video, you get other revelations about grace. You get to see God in a different spectrum, not only as a God that is just there to write down the wrongs, and the rights, but you get to see him as a loving father that is able to say, even when you don't feel worthy, I still see you worthy. Even when you don't feel favored, I still favor you. Even when you don't feel like my grace is sufficient for you, my grace will forever be sufficient for you. And I pray that as you allow yourself to accept grace, may God also give you the spirit of growth and wanting to grow, because so many of us are stuck in things that are holding us back. Hence, we cannot even see the grace that God has for us. We are stuck in places that are not for us. Just because something is comfortable, it does not mean that's where you're supposed to be. Just because you are used to something, it does not mean that it's something for you. Guys, okay, I'm getting another revelation. Let me just close this video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, man, like, subscribe, share, and please do that. And I'll be back again. I promise not to take too long.